Oh, there we go. Well, welcome everybody. Here we go. And we've got some upcoming, and guess what? Donna Waxman. I haven't got a date for you yet, Donna, but I will at some point, I'm sure. So Donna Waxman does. As a matter of fact, Donna, do you want to explain what it is that you do? Okay. All right. Now, I think I found the problem here. All right. Good. We're good to go here. This one window was hidden for the audio for people on Zoom, but we could just barely hear you now. Donna, do you want to give us just a hello and that's it? I just want to make sure the volume is good now.
Yes, hello. How are you? Thanks for having me
Okay, I
join
think we've
tonight.
got it. I think we've got it running. All right. Well, that's a little bit of an introduction to Donna Waxman's refraction photography, and it's a better introduction than I would have given. So I'm happy that you're here, Donna,
Well,
and
thanks for having me.
we'll get together and set a date, and then I'll put the date up. Um,
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you.
okay, fantastic. The next one, of course, is September the 24th. Um, Well, actually, it's not the next one, but I'll bring the next one up in a minute. But this one is Terry Gilman, and she's an excellent award-winning photographer. Her and her husband went on a worldwide cruise. I don't know exactly how long, but I think a year or so. Um, and one of the places that they went to was Madagascar. There, they were able to visit villages that tourists very rarely go to. As a matter of fact, those villagers rarely see tourists at all. And she got some excellent photographs, despite the fact that she ran into problems with humidity and heat on her camera. And apparently, that humidity and heat made the mirror system drop out of the camera, and so she was kind of stuck
Thanks.
with coming up with another way to take photographs. She'll explain all that, but she feels that because she had to innovate and kind of MacGyver things, that she probably got the best photographs of the whole trip. Anyway, she'll be very, very happy to talk about that and to talk about the strange vegetation, flora, and fauna, including some of the wildlife that they got some really great photographs of. And of course, the next one will be forensic photography, and that will be by Rob Rigoli, and he is the instructor at the Ontario Police College in Aylmer, and I was with him today, and we were doing a rehearsal for the 10th, and he will be here on the 10th and talking about forensic photography uh, for about 15-20 minutes, and then he'll be available to answer any questions that you may have about forensic photography, what it's like, what it's like to get into it, what the courses are like, and the equipment that he uses, and all that. So he'll be happy to answer any questions for you. Okay, well, very quickly, I'm going to, every time that we have an event like this, I like to be able to bring in a little bit of a lesson. And the previous three chats that we've had. The first one was on shutter speed only, just shutter speed. The next one was just aperture, and the next one was just ISO. And what I'd like to do is bring those three together. Now, please understand that there are a lot of aspects to all three of these that we're not going to discuss tonight. I will show a couple of samples of what they do, but when it comes to depth of field, there'll be a separate lesson strictly on depth of field and its ramifications and how you change it by using the aperture, as well as how it involves focal length and so on. But tonight we're going to talk about shutter speed, aperture, and ISO and how they work together. That's what we're going to talk about. If you have any questions, I think that I have a little uh, ticker here. Let me just, I want to see what's happening here on on YouTube. I'm just going to go to my live. Ah, there we go. Okay. So, excellent. We have 5 people watching on YouTube. Welcome to everybody on YouTube to this quick little lesson. And if any of you have any photographs that you would like to show while I'm giving the lesson, this would be a good time to kind of open those up on your desktop so that when you share them, they'll come up very, very quickly. Uh, I appreciate any photographs that you can show and talk about a little bit. That would be fantastic if you could do that. Okay, so let's press on here. Oh, we don't have a guest yet, so we'll just go through this. Good. So exposure to the basics, and I'm going to go to the next one here. Actually, let's go to the previous one, and I'm going to, I've got something weird happening again, but that's okay. See if I can straighten that out. Well, I don't know why. I'll just increase this like that. Okay. Well, we'll have to live with the fact that the frame's a little bit off. Anywho, exposure to the basics. Now, uh, we're going to use traditional settings, and I'm sure that all of you who have ever been with me are aware of what traditional settings are. They are the actual shutter speeds and apertures that were used on film cameras. And as the digital cameras came out, because they are digital, they were able to make even finer adjustments between shutter speeds. So there is 1/3 difference between um, traditional shutter speeds and the shutter speeds that are available on your digital camera. Now, I know that if you go into your tools, you can actually turn off the finer tuning shutter speeds in between. So if you're at one traditional shutter speed, you have to go 3 clicks to the next traditional shutter speeds. And I like to use traditional shutter speeds because they make more sense. If we start breaking it down even more, then it's a little bit more difficult. Those other shutter speeds in between, um, and apertures in between are meant for fine tuning, and that's great. Back in film days when we didn't have the digital aspect of it, we were happy with one stop difference, and even a one stop difference is pretty acceptable these days. If you're off a stop, it's not going to do much uh, to ruin your photograph. Anyway, so that's the reason I'm talking about that. So next. Here are the shutter speeds that I have uh, put forward, and you can see that they stop at 1,000th. Now yours may go higher, and they also may go longer. Anytime you see the inch mark, remember that is full seconds, whereas the rest of these are fractions of a second. Okay. Now, you probably recall if you go from 1/500th of a second to 1/250th of a second, that's twice as much. It's twice as long, so it's twice as much light reaching your sensor. And if you go from 1/250th to 125th, that's twice as much light again. Go the other direction, it's doubling. So that's the way shutter speeds works, halving and doubling of time, how long the shutter is open. Okay, so that's time. The one thing that I always tell everybody to be aware of is try not to go below a 60th of a second. I know some people and some of my students have told me, hey, look at these hands. They're the hands of a gunslinger. Man, I can hold that steady at an eighth of a second. Well, maybe you can, but a tripod is better. But not only that, you might think when you're looking at the LCD panel on the back of your camera that, oh, it's a steady shot until you get it onto your computer and enlarge it and you say, oh my God, I've got camera shake. And I have to say, camera shake is not a good term for this. Should be photographer shake, but anyway, we'll let that be. Okay, so if you go towards the thousandth of a second or 4,000th of a second or whatever you happen to have, it's shorter. If you go the other way, it's slower or longer shutter speed. And if you go towards the thousandth of a second, it will stop action. This we already went through. In the other direction, it will blur action. So here are a couple of shots. All the photographs that I show you were taken by students. So no professional photographers here, students, but they did a really super job. So here is one that is a stop action shot. You can see the waterfall is stopped dead. All the droplets are stopped in midair. And of course, with a longer shutter speed, you have blur action. So that is the two aspects of the shutter. One is the technical aspect of giving you more or less time of exposure. The artistic aspect, of course, is that you can stop motion or blur motion. Depends on what you want to do with your photograph. So that's the artsy part of it. Okay, good. The other thing that I always like to bring in is pan action. And pan action is where you move the camera with the motion and take the photograph at a slightly longer shutter speed, like an eighth of a second or a quarter. It doesn't have to be terrifically long. All you want to do is get blur in the background and a still moving object. So as you're moving the camera relationship to the object is really steady. So your object will be still. The background will be blurred. So you don't need a terrifically long shutter speed. That's where some people make the mistake. It's too long and they might make a little motion with their camera and consequently everything is blurred. So that's pan action. Now, I have to say that it's not the easiest thing to learn, but you have to practice. Everything we talk about is based on practicing. And I'm sorry, but you have to do that. You've got to practice. You've got to go out there and shoot and practice. Even though all these practice shots may end up on your SD card or on your computer, erase them after, but you have to practice. Please do that. I haven't met anybody yet who could pick up a guitar and play just like that, but you have to practice. Okay, so here we are at Aperture. Now this, a lot of people find a little bit trickier only because the numbers are kind of strange and they don't mathematically make sense like shutter speeds do, halving and doubling, but it is all halving and doubling again. These are the traditional apertures or f-stops. Now, the stands for focals because the size of the aperture is a function of the focal length of the lens. So that's where the F comes in. And it's a fancy F, it's an italic F. Unfortunately, on most cameras, or a lot of cameras, they don't make it an italic, they just make it a block letter. And while that's not traditionally correct, it's still f stop. I tell my students if you want to remember all your f stops, it's easy because all you have to do is remember F8 and F11. Just remember 8 and 11. Those are the two f-stops you want to remember because once you know these two f-stops, you can figure out the rest just by looking at the uh, kind of logic that happens here. If you go put down F8 and F11, your next aperture after 11, you go from 8 to 16, from 16 to 32. You always skip one. And the other way, it's the same thing. If you go from 8, you skip 5, 6, you go to 4. If you skip 2.8, you go to 2, F2 over here. Now, F11, same thing. F11, skip 16, F22, skip that, F45. I know, it's not exactly 44, but it's 45 based on tradition. And if you go the other way, F11, F5.6, and F2.8, and it would be F1.4 over here. So that's the way they work. And of course, the other thing is that the smaller the number, the larger the opening. The larger the F number, the smaller the opening. In this example, I've shown you that F2.8 is the largest opening over here, F2.8, and that largest aperture is known, whatever the largest aperture you have on your camera, that's known as the maximum effective aperture. And it is designated as a ratio of 1 to 2.8. And that will be engraved on your lens. So you know the maximum aperture, maximum effective aperture of your lens by this ratio that's printed on there. So you can't go any wider open than 2.8. And of course, apertures control the amount. Shutter, time, aperture, amount, how much light gets to the sensor. So besides controlling exposure by the amount of light, it also controls depth of field. And this is going to be a separate subject, though I have a couple of examples here that I will show you what depth of field is all about, because that's important to many photographers. So two aspects again of aperture, amount of light that it lets in, and depth of field. How much is in and out of focus in your photograph? Okay. And we'll learn about this later. I will discuss it in more detail in a depth of field discussion. So let's go over to this. Opening the aperture, one stop doubles the light. I know the numbers don't make sense, but you just have to take my word for it that on traditional shutter speeds, if you move the shutter from In traditional apertures, if you move the aperture from one aperture to the next, it will, if you're going with a larger opening, it will double the amount of light that's allowed in, and so on. And again, 2 times if you keep going. And if you go the other way, it halves the amount of light. So that's the halving and doubling, again, of amount. Now, here's where we marry the two of these up. So, as I say, if you let this amount of light in, F8, if you let that amount of light in for this amount of time, F8 at 125th, and let's just say, hypothetically, that is a good exposure. If you take an exposure of a particular scene, F8 at 125th is your perfect exposure. Fantastic. What does that mean? That means that this combination constitutes a well-exposed photograph. Then if you double or half one, you must double or half the other. It's a balancing act. Once you have the right shutter speed and aperture, then if you change one, you must change the other. So, for example, if you go to f5.6, allowing more light in, then you can go to 1/250th. If you go to f4, allows double the light in, you have to half the time. If you go to f2.8, double the amount, half the time. And this works in the other direction too. Once you have one shutter speed and aperture that's correct, you can switch to any other one, but you have to compensate by changing the one that you didn't switch to. But what if you're here at your widest aperture, f2.8, that's your maximum aperture. What if you're there and you want to go here, 1/2000th of a second? So that means that you've doubled, I'm sorry, you've half the time, but you can't double the amount because 2.8 is your maximum effective aperture. So what do you do then? Well, you have to double something, and the thing that you can double is ISO. And ISO is something that is easy, and fortunately, you can switch in a digital camera. Back in film days, you actually had to buy a particular ISO film, and you'd have to shoot the 400 ISO or roll the film off and put the other ISO film in because you changed locations and you need more sensitive film. You had to do that. ISO sets the sensitivity for your camera. And here are the settings: 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600, 3200. Now, some cameras, a few, actually have 50 ISO as well. So don't be surprised if you pick up a camera and it has 50. Almost all cameras have higher than 3200 now, much higher. And of course, that's an advantage. Now, if you go towards the 100, the smaller the number, the less sensitive your sensor is. If you go to a higher number, the more sensitive your sensor is. If you go from 100 to 200, for example, it's twice as sensitive. If you go from 3200 to 1600, it's half as sensitive. So again, halving and doubling. Isn't that beautiful? Shutter speed, halving and doubling. Aperture, halving and doubling. ISO, halving and doubling. So now you've got three things that you can juggle. So if you wanted to go to 1/2000th of a second at f2.8, which would mean it would be underexposed if you were using 100 ISO, by setting it to 200, you've doubled the sensitivity. You couldn't double the amount, but you can double the sensitivity, and that will give you your correct exposure again. And like I said, we will explore depth of field in the next lessons. Okay, so the one thing that you get with changing the ISO to a higher, more sensitive ISO is a change in noise. The lower the ISO, the less noise you have. We used to call this grain, but now because it's digital, we call it noise. So I have shown two here. This is high noise. This is low noise. Again, this was taken by students. low noise, high noise. Now, if you can't see this on your screen, I've taken the trouble to point out what this looks like enlarged. This is 100 ISO, and I believe this was around 3200 ISO. So you can see the difference.
Mm.
There's the noise. Okay. Now, the depth of field, I have a very simple photograph one of the students shot for me, and this is minimum depth of field, maximum depth of field. That means this one was shot at f2.8, for example, and this one was shot at f32. And the reason that you might want to shoot this at f.4 or whatever, nice wide aperture, is to put the background out of focus so that your viewer concentrates on the image that you want them to concentrate on and not on the trees or the squirrels in the background. And this you will see probably in your search when you start talking about shutter speed and aperture. And this is the exposure triangle. So aperture, shutter speed, ISO. If you change one of these, you have to change one of the other ones to go get the same exposure. So for example, if you're shooting at f22, which is a very small aperture, at a quarter second, and then you go to f16, that means now you can go to an eighth of a second. And if you go to f, f11, then you can increase your shutter speed. So as you go this way, your shutter speed has to get slower and slower. You change one, you have to change the other. It's halving and doubling, and so is ISO. If you run out of any of these, then you might have to resort to changing your ISO. Also, don't forget that you can use a combination of the two of these. You can change the aperture uh, and the ISO in order to stay with the same shutter speed. So this exposure triangle just gives you some idea of the three things that you're working with in order to get good exposure. Now it's interesting because with my students, I have something. If you'll excuse me just a second, I'll show it to you. Okay, I'm cutting these things out. You can see I'm just going to go to the next shot here. I'm cutting these things out. These are circles. When I'm finished with them, they become this. And the way this works is that if I line up, let's see, I'm going to line up 250th of a second at 100 ISO, and the aperture will be f11, 250th of a second, and the ISO will be 100. So let me grab a pointer here. 250th. So 250th of a second at f11 where my finger is. Right across, there's f11 and there's 250th of a second. And the ISO has been set at 100 ISO. That means on this circular dial that once you set that, and that's the right exposure, if you want to change your aperture, then this is the new shutter speed right across from it. Okay, all of these apertures are now across from the correct shutter speed to keep that same exposure value on your camera. So this is an exposure dial. Kodak used to make these, and nobody makes them anymore. but I'm going to start making some of these for my students. Okay. I think that brings us to the end of our lesson, so to speak. I'm going to ask if does anybody have anything to share with us? I'm just going to.
Got a few pictures from the car show last weekend, if you like, George.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I have a few pictures from that I took at the car show
Okay,
that I could share.
hang on, let me
Oh,
get back to this.
I gotta go. I'm not used to Zoom. I gotta find the share button.
Okay, Chris, you have to open it up on your desktop, then go to your share button,
There
the
it
green
is.
button at the bottom. Yeah,
I
you're,
found it.
you're
Yep.
good with that? Okay, let me
Yep.
just take you somewhere else here
Can you see that? Is it
Yeah,
sharing?
yeah, can
in a
see it.
minute. Everybody
Okay.
will see it.
They're not my best work. They're just a few snaps from the car show.
Okay, and I'm going to. Good. And there.
All right.
Where was this taken?
So it was at the Guelph Rib Fest. They had a car show. This was on the Sunday.
Did you
Oh,
take any
so
photographs of the
I'm
ribs?
just no, sorry. No, I took this one. I thought it was really cool. It's just a beat off old truck, but I just like the symmetry.
Hmm.
Nice shot. I
And
always like
yeah.
the shots from the. Oh, this reminds me of the Shaken Burger in Brantford, where
Yeah.
oh boy, I'm really dating myself because the waitresses were on roller skates.
Uh, again, they're not my most artistic shots, but I thought that one was kind of cute.
Yeah, I like that.
And that was while we were there. It didn't rain, but we were pretty much afraid it was gonna. Thought the sky was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's it. Just a few shots from the Rib Fest.
There. Those are some clouds.
Yeah, looks
Yeah,
quite threatening.
Hmm, good. That's it.
yeah. This yeah had a few pictures. You said have a few ready, so I had a few ready.
Thank you. Anybody else? I know that there are probably some people on YouTube that you won't be able to share your photographs. If you go to our Zoom version, you could certainly share that. I think what I'm going to do in the future is in YouTube, I'll actually publish the Zoom website link. Although that's sometimes a little bit scary, but mm, I have the option of throwing people out, which I think is pretty important sometimes when they get unruly. Mind you, any of the students that I've ever had never got unruly. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Any comments?
No.
Thanks for the refresher, George. That was good to go over that.
Well, I think sometimes a little rehearsal. Okay, the guitar man's going to go for a Zoom the next time. Yeah, I would do that because then you can interact with everybody here and have a conversation, which is kind of cool.
So Tom,
George, I was wondering whether or not the next time you send me the link, perhaps you can send it to like email address or a text because I can't, for some reason, I couldn't get it on my computer. So I'm on my phone. So it was dying. I had to go get my recharger. So my apologies for that. And it's a little small on my phone. So if you send me the link to my email address, then I can get it on my computer because I didn't have time to copy and paste it. So my apologies for the bad view and the I had to run out and get my recharging cord because my phone was about to die. So if that's a possibility, I would appreciate that, George.
Okay, no problem. We'll do
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. Thank you, George.
Okay.
I got
Oh, somebody's got something here. Hang
yeah,
on.
me. I can do it. Can you
Pretty
see that?
mural.
Hi, Anka.
Hello.
How are you
Where's
this
that,
evening?
David?
Now,
This was in Portugal.
I don't know if, hang on just a second, David. Anka's here, and
Yeah.
Anka did a fantastic presentation a while back on birds. And she actually had a camera in the birdhouse so you could see the whole life cycle of birds. So, and actually,
I
I'm looking forward to Anka making another presentation sometime in the future um, about how she did that, how and uh, what kind of challenges she had putting the camera in the birdhouse.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Now,
there were definitely many technical challenges.
okay, good. Now that's fantastic. Now, David, you have something, do you, for us?
I had a yeah. There's that one. There's this one. Can you see that one?
Okay, in a minute we will. I'm just going to go to.
Yeah, I can see it, David.
This was in Ireland. There was a lot of I call it wall art. It's just amazing some of the stuff they were doing. It's very
I'm just.
political over there as well.
All right, David, I'm just going to get you going here for a second. Hang on. There we go. And I'm going to put that in there. How's that?
Yeah, that's
Okay, so this is in Cuba, you say?
no, this is in Ireland.
Ireland. Okay.
Yeah, they, they were into Waterford. Um, they obviously had a lot of Vikings problems over there at that time, and they got sort of the long boats and quite a lot of wall art showing the well, the Vikings invaded everybody, invaded England, Ireland, Scotland, and it was left quite a lot of history behind on that. You say the wall art in Ireland was quite amazing. Virtually every place we went to, there was paintings on most of the buildings. It's
Yeah,
quite spectacular.
it's beautiful though.
Yeah. Oh, it's so well done. It's but I just find it amazing. The the artistic side of these people is just, with a spray can. It's just quite amazing what they can do. Um, there's another one. If I can. We got that
Wow,
one.
beautiful.
And again, it's just yeah, just the quality of it. And as I said, a lot of it was political. They've still got a lot of problems over there. Um, I realise now why they hate the English so much, because Henry VIII and Elizabeth I virtually crucified the majority of Irish people, and that's when you had the famine and everything. So I was over there for 3 weeks, and the history lesson I got was quite amazing.
Nice.
Just a couple I took.
Sorry, I'm gonna shut my door because of my puppy. Sorry.
Okay.
Those are really beautiful.
Yeah, I got some of them got some better ones as well, but if I can quickly find them. Just say that the workmanship is just unbelievable. This is a good one.
Got a few more, Dave?
Yeah, that's sorry. I should have got these ready beforehand. That's another one. This was this was in Dublin. No, sorry. Again, this was in Waterford. Um,
So, and I don't know if you know this or not, but do people pay for this to have this wall
I'm
art
not
put up?
sure. They just it was most of them were commercial buildings, and they just painted them all these different mm, wall art on them. And as I say, the quality was just unbelievable. It was quite spectacular.
Nice. I'm
Um,
just going to mention here that if you happen to be on YouTube, use the chat window. Let me know where you're from and what your interest in is in photography. I'd appreciate that, and I'm sure everybody else here would. Just use the chat to let us know.
yeah,
So,
I'm
uh,
not sure.
yeah, I imagine that it's quite an art to paint something that large.
Oh yeah, they have. They've got all these platforms, hydraulic platforms now they use to do
Yep.
it. It's quite amazing. Yeah, I want to. It seems certainly downtown Hamilton they've done a lot more. I've been down there a few times taking pictures, but I've got a list now of all the places I want to go because just going around there, some of the quality is quite amazing what they've done.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, I see.
Mhm. This is another one.
Well, now I don't have to go to Cuba to see these.
Yeah. Again, this is well, the Irish are with their. I think I'm not sure what it's a bit like the Australian football, where you can kick it and handball it and do everything with it. And these were all their sort of famous people, which they painted on the side of a restaurant.
Very nice.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, just astounded at the quality. It's really good. So that's one of my main things now.
Thanks,
So,
Janet. Thanks for dropping in, by the way. Janet from Mississauga.
all right.
Well, Janet, you're always welcome here. We do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We have some interesting things upcoming. If you go back and search this video, you'll see that we're going to have some forensic photography and travel photography coming up in September. And who
Yeah,
knows what in between.
sorry, interrupt. With Annika, you would do astrology or I'm not quite sure what you call it, the stars, etc. Uh, will you be able to show us that sometime? Because I'd be quite interested.
Yeah.
Yes, I think last time when you had me on, George, I think I only focused on wildlife, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So
So, yeah, I can definitely maybe do a bit of that next time.
yeah, that would be good.
Okay,
Just find it.
Anka, you've got a photo to share?
I do, I do. I actually took a photo this morning that I wanted to share because it actually, when I took this photo, I was actually thinking of you, George, because you were the first person where I was exposed to the rule of thirds. And so
Hmm.
I this morning I was at the farm where I get vegetables and they have sunflowers there, and I was looking at the sunflowers and there was this spider. And what struck me about the spider was that the color of the spider was identical to the color of the petals.
Hmm.
So I took this photo, and as I was taking the photo, I envisioned, the rule of thirds and positioning it kind of on that lower sort of cross point. And I thought about you and that first lesson that I had with you, photography lesson, and you talked about that. And then I looked up the spider, and it was actually very interesting because the spider changes colors, and it camouflages itself to its environment.
Wow.
And it's a type of spider that make webs. It actually sits and ambushes its prey, and it varies in color from white to various shades of yellow.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and
Okay,
it's
hang
on
on. Let
its.
me just put that up for everybody's pleasure.
Oh yeah, I did. I was sharing my screen. Did that come up? There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
Beautiful.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
Beautiful.
looks a bit creepy actually. I don't like spiders, but yeah, that's amazing. Just the color of it.
The color, yeah,
Yeah.
how identical it was to the petals. I found
Hmm.
that quite fascinating.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a good thing that the spider crawled onto the darker surface. It'd be hard to see it.
yeah.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, so apparently it sits among those petals and tries to ambush bees and butterflies, from what I read.
Wow.
Hmm. So
That's
anyway,
beautiful.
that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you.
And like I said, George, I actually took that picture with your lesson in mind.
I appreciate it. Maybe I'll use it sometime.
Sure.
If you send it to me, it's a good example of the rule of thirds.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's actually I posted it on my Facebook, so if you want to download it from there, you're welcome to, or I can send it to you as well. But
Oh, I can
Hmm.
download it. That's not a problem.
yeah,
And
it's on my page, so just grab it.
okay, fantastic. That's great.
Hmm.
Okay, let me just switch over here. Okay, well, that I really enjoyed that. We had quite a few photographs that people would share, and I always, encourage you to share your photographs, even if it's one or two. If you can kind of get them on your um, desktop open, and then they're easy to share, and it's very fast to get that done. Although we're very patient here, I think. At any rate, let's see, what time is it? Oh my goodness, it's 8:03. We're kind of a little bit past our time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of wrap it up now. And let's see here. If you guys, if you're on uh, YouTube, if you can give me a like, I appreciate it. I love a like. And if you think about it, if you can also subscribe, then you can avail yourself of any new chats that are coming up. You're welcome. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. and it's a little bit of enjoyment. You can share adventures, you can share anything photographic, or you can even talk about the weather, but preferably keep it photographic. So what I'm going to do is say good night to everybody. Thank you so much for attending. I do appreciate it, and we will see you next Wednesday, hopefully. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jorj, and beautiful photos, everybody. Everybody's
yeah,
photos were
it's
beautiful.
fantastic to see
Thank
other
you.
people's
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Beautiful photos.
Thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
this, Jorj.
Yeah. No, that's good.
sometime David will be coming back and show you how he does ultraviolet photography of flowers. He did a little bit of a show a while ago, and I'd love to have him give a little bit of a presentation, show you his setup for doing the UV photography, and what the original looks like and what the UV shot looks like.
That'd be very
That
interesting.
sounds
So
great.
yeah, maybe
Very impressive.
if you're around next Wednesday, if you
Yeah,
can do
I will
that,
do my best to get
David.
something set up for you.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, Chris and Donna,
Donna.
David, Anka, thank you for attending, and thank you, Janet from Mississauga, for attending. It was great to have you here.
Thank you for organizing, Jorj. It was wonderful.
Well,
Thank
I'd like to
you.
keep this going for the benefit of people who love photography and like to talk about it and like to show their images. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I say, Anka, I'm going to get you back here again to talk about your birdhouse. Yeah, that'll be great. Anyway,
Okay.
good night, everybody. Have a good
Good
weekend
night.
Yes.
coming up,
Good
and
night.
You too.
enjoy the cooler
Good night.
weather.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jorj.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jorj.
Thank you. Have a good night.